Is the ego the source of our thoughts, or are our thoughts generated elsewhere and pass through the ego?
Oh, thank you. There is no ego apart from the thoughts. The thoughts, identification with thoughts, is ego. But the thoughts that go through your mind, of course, are linked to the collective mind of the culture you live in, humanity as a whole. So they are not your thoughts as such, but you pick them up from the collective, most of them. And so you identify with thinking, and the identification with thinking becomes ego, which means simply that you believe in every thought that arises, and you derive your sense of who you are from what your mind is telling you who you are.
I'm mad I ain't going to the gym, y'all. I missed a day, I feel guilty. Look over here. What was the question again? How I feel about the development of Brooklyn? I think it's good. Brooklyn is really growing right now. It's fairly new. In East New York, you now have the Gateway Mall. It's been there for a couple of years, but it's now expanding. They're building all sorts of other major stores over there. So it's good. I think it's good. It's good. It's definitely good for. It's definitely good for us as far as being able to buy at Target and Walmart and places like that. But it's not good for small businesses.
I gotta be honest, I feel a lot of it's about the money.
And I can tell you the grumbles and groans of the community that knew that Brooklyn would not be the same, that this would usher in a gentrification.
These buildings were deemed blighted. They weren't big enough to generate enough tax revenue.
Politics is a messy business.
I mean, I'm not really into politics, so I can't really answer you in detail as to what they're doing.
When was the last time you saw a public service ad telling young black girls to avoid becoming pregnant? Has President Obama done such an ad? How about Jackson or Sharpton? Has a congressional black caucus demanded an ad like that? How about the PC pundits who work for NBC News? White people don't force black people to have babies out of wedlock.
Let's face it, a lot of white people are hypocrites.
You slept on the couch all day. What you gonna do with your life, huh?
You know what?
What?
You need to go back to China.
The only thing wrong I see with these new places is that it's kicking the poor people out the neighborhoods. It's raising people's rent sky high. People can't afford it, and it's just causing people to move. And it's causing people to move to the projects. And the projects get overwhelmed. When you have too many people living, and mainly poor people, a lot of times, unfortunately, just don't work out.
What has he done? Can you tell me? Big Magic Johnson, what has he done?
Well, yes, he's a business person.
He's got AIDS. I think he should be ashamed of himself. I think he should go into the background. But what does he do for the black people?
Because he got caught, his punishment was appropriate. It was deserved. Because in all reality, who's now going to want to play for a guy that feels the way he feels? The majority of the league is black. So it wouldn't be good for business having him there.
And if you notice, Uncle Sam has formed a habit of going all over the world. He calls it the ugly American or the American image.
Racism is definitely alive. It's not what it was 50, 60 years ago, but it's still there. It's a little bit undercovers, but we've come a long way from where we were. I think it's good to be in a diverse community. You want to have a little bit of everything. Gentrification shouldn't affect you.
What up, Crackerjack?
Oh, I would never say something racist towards someone else. You should be ashamed of yourself. Let's see, who should I hire? Sharquisha Germain or Sarah Johnson? Sarah Johnson, of course! White power!
I love them. I love white people.
What I think about the cultural growth that's going on in Brooklyn.
I guess it's for the better, you know, we working together. So.
The more educated people are, the better they'll learn to live amongst each other and together as civilized people.
I'm always fond of the progressive people in Brooklyn.
Yes, you know, 10 years from now, still gonna be generating money, still on top, you know, because that's all it's about, really, understanding this world and this generation right now, you gotta stay on point.
Most people don't have a clue how currency is created. Economists and bankers make it sound so complex that people think they can't understand it.
Yeah, with that right there, you know, the white people moving into the neighborhood, you know, coming down to the hood, because they wasn't out here before. Well, ain't no problem with it. It ain't no problem with it, you know. It really happened ever since 9/11. After 9/11, you know, that everybody trying to come all together and all that, you know, white and black and Hispanic. Now they want to be all comfortable, you understand? But I guess it's for the better, but at the end of the day, you understand? Because, you know, they're making the neighborhood better, I guess, because of them. You understand? Because of them, they're making the neighborhood better, and the neighborhood is kind of cleaning up now. You know, Brooklyn is looking a lot better now. So, you know, now we got the Barclays Center, downtown Brooklyn, New York. And so we got a Barclays Center now. We got a stadium there. We got the Brooklyn Nets. You know, I guess probably because of them. Never know, you understand? But Brooklyn always been hard, though.
We go hard, we go hard.
So I don't really feel no type of way about that, you know? So it's kind of a good thing to me, you know what I'm saying? So I have no problem with it. As long as you're making money, you'll be all right. But if not, you're gonna have a lot of problems out here, man. So, you know, I do try to keep myself up busy and try to do different things. Money is money. Money ain't got no color, you understand? Money is money, we gotta make it. So it ain't green, money come every different way. Yeah, understand? Never forget that.
We go hard, we go hard. Brooklyn, we go hard. Brooklyn, we go hard, we go hard. Brooklyn, we go hard, we go hard. Brooklyn, we go hard, we go hard. Brooklyn, we go hard. Brooklyn, we go hard, we go hard. Brooklyn, we go hard, we go hard. Brooklyn, we go hard, we go hard.
Having an ego is having a sense of pride.
You have the ego and you have the subconscious. The subconscious is the spirit.
It's all about a balance. You can't let your ego drive you insane.
All I heard was a boom. That's all I heard. A single gunshot pierced the night inside this building in the City Housing Authority's pink houses in East New York. But this time, the NYPD says the one who fired was one of their own.
A single bullet from Officer Peter Liang's gun killed 28-year-old Akai Gurley. Commissioner Bill Bratton calling it an accidental discharge.
I personally do not like racism.
I see that it's more gentrification.
before, back in the days, it wasn't like that. You understand? Everything was separated. Everybody on this side, your own people on this side.
So it's not a thing about black or white. It's about people. It's good people and bad people.
Me to be black and Hispanic, people shouldn't talk about your race.
I think that white people are so guilty, knowing what they've done to black people, that they feel if the deeds were reversed, they would hate the black man if he had done the same thing to them. So it's actually, it reflects a guilt complex on the part of whites.
What I think about the construction is I think it's just a waste of acres and land. People can build buildings there. People can build parks there for kids to play in instead of having to make these useful construction places. Like, I think it's just a waste of time, and especially if they're near buildings, you know, the noise, it's gonna be hard if people have homework to do or if they're trying to sleep. It's just annoying, and I think it's just a waste of land.
What if you could have bought, made a new skate park like this, and with a pool with it, and different types of things like volleyball, instead of making a place like that, and when an earthquake comes, a tsunami, something like that, it all comes to rubble.
You know, they shouldn't blame people for games being the cause of violence, because I think people will know the difference between virtual and real world, and they wouldn't blame, they shouldn't blame games for violence. If a person points a gun at someone, they're gonna think that in their own head, not think about a game.
But violent games, they can be a little bit overrated for different types of people and other people, because when people are playing the games, they think it's too violent. So you shouldn't be playing the type of games that you're playing right now. Games like Pokemon, Soul Silver, different types of gens. They think it's still too violent. They're Pokemon. They're like dogs, pets, little things that you can play with.
And I'm especially interested in the possibility of making our brains smarter, better, and faster. This is in this context I'm going to tell you about video games. When we say video game, most of you think about children. And it's true, 90% of children do play video games. But let's be frank. When the kids are in bed, who is in front of the PlayStation? Most of you. The average age of a gamer is 33 years old, not 8 years old. And in fact, if we look at the projected demographics of video game play, the video game players of tomorrow are older adults. So video games is pervasive throughout our society.
Another thing that I have to say about gaming is that there's a lot of educational games out there and a lot of active games. You know, there isn't just, you know, fighting games or things that have to do with violence. Like, you could play games like Zumba, or you could play math educational games, and that could help kids in school. Or you could get active at home and stay in shape. So there's games like that that can help you.
white people, you know, I feel like a lot of them feel guilty about, you know, what happened in the past.
See, we respect the government at all costs while we are backing him up. But we know he's doing his job while we are here to do a job also. That's why we're here. What do you think about the job they're doing, the government? The government is doing everything right and exact. That's the way it's supposed to be. The government has always been right and exact. They doing their job and we doing ours.
Some, you know, are genuine people. They really got love for us. Some, you know, I gotta say, some are still racist. Racism is out here. You know, you see cops over here in New York killing people all the time. You know, just recently you see a guy got chokehold and killed, I think it was in Staten Island. My biggest thing is just being around trustworthy people, people that I can, you know, have a good relationship with, you know, because there's a lot of people out here that have bad attitude, that have bad intentions. So I look more at not how you look, but who you are.
In the unity of the Holy Spirit, all honor and glory is yours, Almighty Father, now and forever.
Religion is huge in Brooklyn. Like, almost on every other corner there's a church. You got Baptist church, you got Pentecostal churches everywhere, Catholic churches are all over the world, but you see plenty in Brooklyn. You know, this is a borough that is man religious, you know, and I completely believe in God, you know. I think God is up there. I think we have source. I think we have a higher being, and you know, all these religions got, you know, their own way of seeing things. They got their own traditions, their own methods. But I think it's all simple. Like, if you follow the Bible, and let's say you take out God, right? And you just think about the things that it's trying to teach you. To be loving, to be kind, peaceful, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you just follow those things alone, the world will be a better place. I like art, you know. I like things that show essence, show history. Like, my favorite areas are like Prospect Park. I like that area, man. Like the architecture, the library, you know, that big statuesque thing that they have with the army, and I think that's George Washington or somebody up there with the horses. My neighborhood, you know, Starrett City, that was always like a very nice and clean neighborhood. You know, I grew up part in Livonia, Pennsylvania. The other half, I grew up in Starrett before I went out of town for a couple of years. Beautiful, beautiful neighborhood, man. And matter of fact, Starrett City is the biggest project complex in New York City, right here in Brooklyn.
Trying to learn the coverages, the game plan, assignment. I don't have time to really think about history right now.
I was always playing sports, so I never really got involved in no street gangs and no foolishness like that. Like, sometimes I would cut school and we would tag up walls, because, you know, like I said, I like art. I used to draw a lot. We used to tag up. You know, a lot of the stuff you see around here in East New York, I see some stuff that we did back in the 90s still out here. You know, I love graffiti. The ego's a very, very tricky thing, because the ego is like your subconscious. You know, it's self. You know, it's an entity that just drives on feeding his own emotions, his own thrills, his own desires. So you gotta be careful how you move with your ego, how you gather your ego, because if you're a person that's driven solely by ego, you're not gonna have love for those that are around you. You're only gonna be thinking about how you could advance.
When you surrender to this, when you begin to allow this force in the universe to work through you, you begin to realize that everything that shows up here in this world shows up from a source, from a place, from an energy, from a field, whatever you want to call it, and that we and these sort of piddly little egos of ours that believe that we're so important, and whether I get it done right or whether I don't, or whether I get it done on time or whether he does it or she does it or whatever, all of these details become almost something that occupied too much of the energy of our lives.
People are trying to teach you that you have to overcome that. You have to look for a higher power. You got to tap into your source. See, a baby is not going to know how to get up and feed itself. It's not going to know how to interact with other people. It's not going to know how to, you know, respect itself unless it's taught that. We have to tap into the source, God, so that He could teach us how to maneuver ourselves. And you know, everybody has alter egos depending on like where you live, who you deal with, your environment, your society. All these manipulate the way that you see things, the way that you think. You gotta know what's guiding you. You know, you can't allow these streets and this world and the things that you see on television and the music that you hear to really guide you. You gotta look inside yourself. You gotta look into the deeper self.
What is the first rule of any game, Mr. Green?
The only way to get smarter is by playing a smarter opponent.
What's rule 2 of any game?
The more sophisticated the game, the more sophisticated the opponent.
We're almost the same, but where does it stop, Mr. Green? Where does this game stop?
It stops when you start to give me answers. Don't let them play head games with you, Jake.
Is it me that's playing head games with you, Mr. Green?
So, I don't know, ego's a funny thing, man. You know, a lot of people don't even know that they ego tripping. They just think that that's the way to be.
There are children standing here, arms outstretched into the sky, tears drying on their face. He has been here. Brothers lie in shallow graves, fathers lost without a trace, a nation blind to their disgrace since he's been here. And I see